James and Pat. Tell a friend.
And welcome to Boys Under the Hood. James Stevenson from Precision Auto joins me today and every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And we take your car care questions. Maintenance, you have an issue, you need some car advice. James is the expert. He owns Precision Auto Repair in West Springfield. All right, I just want to get right to it. No, I'm not doing this. All right, so I think it was just ill-fated that we hung out outside the show last week. I was on vacation.
Friday, yeah, we both had the day off.
And you had the day off, and you were like, okay, well, let's get together, and so we did. And ended up at a pool party.
Right. So Pat comes to meet up for lunch at like 11 o'clock. I was with a couple guys, and Pat comes to meet up with us about 11 o'clock. By about 1:30 or so, we're at a pool party at a condo complex. We're there for maybe 15 minutes or something like that, and I'm in the pool talking to a couple people, and Pat comes over, he kind of taps me on the shoulder, he says, bro, dude, hey, I'm going back to this guy's apartment to look at his lizards, and he's got some Cowboys posters. And then he disappeared for like an hour.
I didn't. Okay, first of all, I didn't know that he had all the lizards he had. He said, but you know what? One of the things, it's no one knows what it's like to be a Cowboys fan. And actually, the Who should rewrite the song "Behind Blue Eyes" with that being the first line in it. So when I meet a Cowboys fan, I gravitate to them. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I got one of my rooms painted in Cowboys colors, and I'm like, really? I'm sitting there like a little kid. I'm pumped up. I'm like, I found one of my own.
Yeah.
Did not know that he had like 17 serpents in I don't know. One of them was like a dragon that ran on its back legs. But I can't even look at you. Like, it's
Please don't.
it's not, it's not a story that I...
When you guys came back, you didn't make any eye contact with him or anything.
Okay, that's not true. That's not true. I came back wearing just one sock.
All right, well, it was a good day.
It was fun. Maybe we should welcome any of our listeners who would like to someday maybe come down to the station, and we'll go check out some lizards and some posters. I got a guy. You're such a jerk.
Got a lizard guy now.
And you asked me when you sent me today's questions to, can we talk about the lizards? Appreciate that heads up. Oh boy.
Well, it was a great day off.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be something you can laugh behind my back about for the rest of
No,
the
just right to you.
to my
You're
face.
gonna laugh right
directly.
to you about that one.
Can't wait to see the other people at the party again too.
Yeah.
They'll be like, wait, you're the guy that went home with the lizard guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I didn't go home with him. Okay?
Some other guy meets Pat. Pat says his name. The guy goes, your voice sounds really familiar. Pat says, yeah, I do this radio show. And the guy goes, oh, you're the guy with that long intro?
No respect at all from your friends. I'll hang out with any of these clowns ever again. I'm going to give a call to the lizard guy when I get out of work today. Oh, boy. All right, so we have some business to take care of here.
That was 4th of July.
It doesn't include lizards or posters. It includes cars. We're asking you to send your questions in. PrecisionAutoRepair.biz or the Precision Auto Repair Facebook page. Let's get right to it. Stephanie from Springfield has chosen the Horizons for Homeless Children. What a great charity. Love the work they do. She drives a Toyota Camry. Stephanie writes, last fall my engine seized due to a known medical defect. Or check that, a known mechanical defect. Toyota issued an extended warranty, not a recall, due to excessive oil consumption. Now they say they won't cover the repair, both the dealership and corporate. I'm a single mom with 2 girls, so I can't afford a new engine. What can I do?
All right, so what, it's a kind of a sticky situation.
Sounds complicated.
It is, but we'll try to simplify it as much as possible. So what she's talking about is Toyota issued something called a TSB. It's a technical service bulletin. It's basically a diagnostic path for helping you repair a somewhat unconventional issue. I can't stop thinking about these lizards. I'm looking at you.
I'm not looking at you for the rest of the time. I wish we had a barrier. I wish we had like cubicles in here today.
So a TSB is just essentially, yeah, it's a diagnostic path to help you diagnose and then hopefully ultimately repair a somewhat unconventional issue. So the initial factory warranty on this vehicle was for 6 months, 60,000 miles. And then what they did was they extended that to 10 years, 150,000 miles, just for this one issue as part of that TSB. So with that being said, to extend the warranty and then have the warranty repair done, they need you to follow certain guidelines to make sure that this vehicle is a candidate. So just because the VIN may fall into that proper range, meaning every vehicle has a serial number, and when they issue recalls and stuff like that, they do it by by VIN or build date and things like that. So any vehicle built within this specific period of time, can potentially have this issue. So one of the first things that the dealer needs to do is do what's called an oil consumption test. So they make sure that the oil is 100% full, and then you drive it for a period of time. You come back and then they recheck it. If they can't do that, they can't verify that, they can't really move too much further. On top of that, they're also going to want to see maintenance receipts. So it's not necessarily that you have to have the vehicle serviced at the dealer. You can have it serviced anywhere you want, but you have to maintain proper records. So for that repair to get covered under that TSB or under that extended warranty, there are certain guidelines that you have to follow to make sure that they pay for it. It sounds like you just kind of ran out of oil and seized up your engine, or any other, there could have been some other underlying factors there that caused that issue. So, I can see where you're coming from, but, I can also see where the factory is coming from. They don't know that your vehicle was necessarily affected by this issue. It could have been one of many other things, and without seeing the vehicle, without knowing the rest of the details, just kind of outside looking in, this seems kind of, like it's going to fall right within, the parameters I'm explaining here.
And while we're on the subject of this, I got to give credit to automakers. I had a Corolla, and forever I was getting things in the mail. Bring it in. It was just a minor thing.
Just a little recall or
whatever. It ended
whatever.
up taking like 20 minutes to get done.
Yeah.
But I kept putting it off. And I was like changing addresses, and they were still like staying on top of it.
Yeah.
So like from a safety standpoint, I love that they stay on top of it. I've never heard of this. So they tell you what the problem is, but you have to make sure that you still keep the vehicle maintained. You need proof of that.
Well, they don't really tell you that they don't necessarily tell you what the problem is. They say, look, if your vehicle is exhibiting these symptoms, then it could potentially be this. And then it gives the dealership kind of like a few steps to follow. And they say, step one is to make sure that the oil is properly full. Step two is let the customer drive the vehicle for 500 miles, have them come back, recheck the level. If the level is above, X, then you're fine. If it's below this, then go to this next step. And it helps them establish kind of a rapport with the vehicle, right? So they understand how the vehicle is operating, what the issue may be there. Does that make sense to explain that?
No,
I feel like I didn't.
No, it does make sense. I just want to be clear that there is a responsibility on the part of the person that owns the car. Even once this thing is given, they still want to see that you're following what they ask you to follow.
Right, and if you haven't changed the oil in X amount of time and you can't, prove that you've done that and you haven't properly maintained your vehicle, then, these things can happen on any vehicle. So, they're going to look for all of that stuff. But the first step in this technical service bulletin that Stephanie's referring to is that they need to do an oil consumption test. They need to see how much it's burning. My vehicle that I drive, it burns oil. And I brought it to the dealer because it's under warranty, and they said that it can burn 2.5 quarts for every 1,000 miles.
Wow.
And they won't do anything unless it burns more than 2.5 quarts for every 1,000 miles. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
2.5 quarts. And ASE, who kind of sets the standard for auto repairs, Automotive Society of Engineers, they say it should be 1 quart for every 1,000. So BMW comes back and says, no, it's going to be 2.5 quarts on this vehicle. Isn't that crazy?
That's unusual that there's
Yeah.
something clearly wrong with the engine, and there's like, well, no, there's not. Not if it's...
That's what they say. Yeah. No.
2 quarts every 1,000 miles is a lot of oil.
They say, no, it's a high-performance engine. It's supposed to burn oil. All right, well, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
I got a guy who can throw a boa constrictor in their backseat. If they do that again.
Just put some lizards in the car. Some lizards and cowboy posters.
Who's the a-hole that put the Cowboys poster on my back car?
Stephanie, the only other option that
Yeah.
I would really have for you is just we offer a 100-day payment option. So it's 100 days, 0%. You can just give the office a call, and we can try to help you out that way. I know that you're saying that you have 2 girls, and I'm sure money is tight. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like any dealership is going to be able to cover that under that TSB, because they're not going to get reimbursed from Toyota if they don't follow those steps.
Right.
So they're probably not going to take care of that for you. But that would really be the only other option that I'd have for you, is just a 100-day payment option. You could spread those payments out over 2 years if you'd like, but they're going to assess you interest for it. And
Right.
their interest rate is it's high. Yeah.
Well, no, that's
It's high. If you pay it off in the first
yeah.
100 days, it's 0%. But if you pay it off after that, that you get smacked in the mouth with interest, because it's an unsecured loan.
Right. I mean, in fairness,
You know?
a lot of same as cash deals are the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you can go interest free for 12 months, but the interest accrues, and then at 12 months and 1 day, kaboom!
Yeah.
You've got to pay everything that you would have paid.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure to remain within the terms, not just with not with a 100-day payment plan here, but with anything that is
Absolutely, yeah, 12 months,
interest free
whatever
for
it would be,
12
yeah.
months. Yeah, keep your eyes open, man. But it's a good option though when you're tight for cash and you can pay it back over 100 days.
Absolutely.
Get your butt over there. Talk to give a call to Matty over there. He'll be happy to help you. You're listening to Boys Under the Hood. James Stevenson from Precision Auto Repair in West Springfield joins us every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. I'm Pat Kelly. Snake questions for me, car questions for James. Adam in Agawam has chosen the Greater Springfield Habitat for Humanity as his charity. He drives a Chevy 1500. He said, someone backed into me at the grocery store the other day and took off. When I got back to my truck after looking at the damage, I saw that my airbag light is now on. I found a way online to get blink codes, and after some testing found out that the sensor in the spot that was hit went bad. I replaced it, but the light is still on. Any suggestions?
All right, so we've talked many times about how to, the process to begin diagnosing a vehicle. And there are certain, pieces of diagnostic equipment, computer scan tools, whatever you'd like to call it, that hook up to a vehicle, and it'll kind of point you at a troubled area by giving you a code, a sequence of numbers. A second way to do this that's not quite as traditional, but guys used to do it years and years ago before we had all of this technology that we have now, is they would obtain something called blink codes. So there's a little connector under your dash, and they basically could take something as simple as a paper clip and jump a couple terminals, and it'll cause a light on your dash to blink in a certain sequence, kind of like a Morse code almost, and then you kind of determine how many blinks you have, and then that is how you get a blink code. It's kind of complex.
It's like hit and miss sounds to me.
Yeah, I mean, you can misinterpret it, but this guy was able to figure out somehow online how to do that, and was able to do that. So that's what he's talking about with what's called a blink code. Don't try it, don't try it. You see a lot of people kind of screw that stuff up, and when they do, it'll pop a fuse, it'll create a problem, and you're going to find yourself in the repair shop having us chase a much different issue than you
Okay,
already have.
but what if you've seen MacGyver several times?
Well,
And
I mean,
just
as long
didn't
as
go
there's
for it?
bubble gum involved,
Okay.
and you need to somehow use that, incorporate that bubble gum wrapper, and it
Okay.
has to be a foil one, the one with the foil.
I know that.
And it has to be a sugar-free gum as well.
It's gotta
It
be
won't-
conducive.
it won't work. Sugar.
Wow.
Won't work if it's not sugar-free.
Now, this sounds like something that they could probably bring to you and take a quick look at it. Is that?
So yeah, I mean, we offer a quick 10. And what the quick 10 is, it's very basic. We take a ride with a customer, verify their issue, scan the vehicle for them, and then kind of point them just in the right direction. Hey, look, we're going to need to diagnose this further, or you know what, you can drive this for a little while if you're going on a trip, or so on and so forth. So in this case, sometimes the modules can go bad if a vehicle has been been hit or damaged bad enough. In this case, if that sensor was just bad and you replaced it, and you might just have to reset that module. And again, that's something that we can do under that quick 10. And a quick 10 for us, it's absolutely free. There's no cost at all. Just give us a call, say, look, I have this issue, or even you can just stop in. Say, hey, I've got this issue, I need this light checked, or whatever. We'll be happy to put somebody right on it, take a look at it for you.
You're listening to Boys Under the Hood. James Stevenson from Precision Auto Repair in West Springfield joins us every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. I'm Pat Kelly. We've got more coming for you. When we come back, we're going to hear from a guy that wants to replace his own timing belt. Good idea or not? Stick around. I'll tell you what, though, we can get in trouble. That's one thing I know.
Pat left the house at like 10:45 to meet me for lunch. He gets home at 10:30 p.m.
I was in big trouble. I don't even want to talk. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't. And I would suggest to anyone that if you do leave your home and it's 10:45 and you tell your wife that you're going out to meet a friend, you probably should get in touch with her before 12 hours later. It's not even. I'm gonna get in trouble right
Poor
now.
Kim.
I know. And that was one of those things too. You know, you get in arguments with people, right? Sometimes because you think you're right and they're wrong. Right away, I'm like, I don't know what to say. Just like a turtle on my back. I was totally wrong.
I can imagine that she was probably pretty upset.
Oh,
Rightfully
God,
so.
Rightfully so.
Nicole would have killed me if I did
I
that.
should have invited her to the pool party. Like that was one of the, you think about these things afterwards. How easy would that have been? Just to pick up the phone and then be like, hey, we're hanging out. Come, nice people. Got a lizard guy here, ready to meet you.
Lizard guy.
Love to take you home and check out all of his lizards and
He's
stuff.
gonna put on a lizard circus.
He had a room dedicated entirely to lizards. Like I think it looked like a two-bedroom place.
I bet he's single.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked. He's got 17 lizards.
When I brought you, after we left the pool party, we went to another friend of mine's house.
That's where
hang out.
Yeah.
A couple minutes. He's got a pool there. We're hanging out. He has a like a pool house, and there's a refrigerator in there that has beer and things in it if you wanted anything. But no, Pat just goes right into the kitchen, opens the refrigerator. They've got like leftovers. He opens the container, starts picking at their leftovers.
I was hungry.
Then grabs a beer off the door and says, "Oh man," he goes, "This is Rome's last beer." He goes, "This is a really good one." He goes, "I can't drink this." And he kind of has a moral dilemma for all of 1 second and says, "You know what? I'll share it with him." He pours one sip in a glass and gives it to him, and then takes the rest of the can.
Oh boy. I mean, maybe
What a dull moment. I think we could rent you out. Have you go hang out with people.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Create memories.
I think I thought that I'd given him more beer than you say. I thought
I think you did, and then you drank that out of the glass too because you felt like you gave him too much. You needed it to be fair.
Just trying to be fair, man. Oh boy. Welcome back to Boys Under the Hood. James Stevenson from Precision Auto Repair in West Springfield. He's the expert, and he'd love to hang out with you. Seriously, meet him after the show. What could go wrong? Let's get right back to the questions. Ellen in Palmer has chosen the Western Mass Learning Centers for Children. Great charity. She drives a Honda Pilot. Ellen writes, I recently broke down on a trip back from Myrtle. Clearly, we assumed the worst was wrong with the car and played all those scenarios over in our head. The tow company came out and found that I just had a bad fuse for the fuel pump. They changed it, and I was on my way. The driver refused any tip. What is a good thank you for that company? That's really cool.
Yeah, that's
Somebody
really
would
nice.
just find them on the side of the road, out of state, clearly, right?
Yeah.
Change the fuse, and off you go.
Yeah. Ellen, first I would say that's really, really wonderful that they were able to take care of that for you. And, I can only imagine all of the thoughts that were going on in your head at that time, especially families all loaded up in the car, all your stuff. All you want to do is get home.
Oh, man.
Oh, but yeah, I can't even imagine. So that's really great that they were able to take care of that for you. Just be cautious. Those fuses don't go bad on their own like that all the time. Sometimes it could be an underlying issue. So it might be something that you're going to want to have the normal shop that you use that services your vehicle. You're just going to want to have them just give that system a once over real quick to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Other than that, the shop that did that for you and helped you out, guys love treats, like sugary, fatty treats, brownies, cupcakes, cookies, pies, all that stuff.
Why do you look at my stomach when you're saying that?
It is what it is, But guys love that stuff. Customers bring that type of thing by our shop. It's gone by lunchtime. And they really appreciate that. Aside from that, if you don't feel like, sending them something monetary, or tangible, not monetary, rather, you could just, help spread some word of mouth, maybe leave them a nice review, some feedback online. Guys really, really appreciate that. The new word of mouth is online. So I'm sure that they would really greatly appreciate that. I know that our staff does when we go above and beyond, help somebody out, or even when we don't go above and beyond and we just do our job. And to somebody else that may feel like we've gone above and beyond because we dropped everything to help them in their time of need. So, our staff really appreciates that stuff. So I'm sure that theirs will too. But that's terrific that you had a great experience, Ellen.
I love that story, right?
Yeah.
We've all broken down on the side of the highway somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And right, you have and guys always do the guy thing, and this is what it is. You got to pop the hood.
Yeah.
Well, let me just see what honey, you wait right here with the kids, and I'll handle the situation. And then they go, and if it's me, unless there's something like blatantly with a sign on it and an arrow pointing to it, I wouldn't even guess what it was.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I'm sure as hell not gonna fix it. But every guy does it. Notice that. No, you wait here in the car, honey. I'll see what the problem is.
Yeah. Well, I know it's broken. I don't know the name of it. It's down there. I can't reach it.
There's
right
only 10,000 parts here.
Yeah.
I've got it.
Yeah. Vehicles are a lot more complex than they were a lot of years ago. But Ellen, that's really awesome that they were able to figure that out for you, and especially so quickly, right on the side of the road like that.
You're listening to Boys Under the Hood. James Stevenson joins us every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Comes over from his place, Precision Auto Repair in West Springfield. We appreciate the time you take, man. I'm Pat. Thanks. I'm Pat the Snake Guy. I was going to suggest maybe get a couple lizards for him. I know a guy.
We get a weird. That's how it started. You guys were talking about like fish tanks, and you wanted like a fish tank from him.
Well, he was moving. That's how it started. He was moving, and he had a fish tank, like a 150-gallon fish tank. And
Is that a big tank?
Yeah, oh yeah, hell yeah. And he asked, he was looking for someone to watch the tank for him. Because who wants to, it's a big undertaking. It was like moving across country with the thing. So right away I'm thinking, hey, I could use a tank.
Yeah.
I'd be a hero if I brought that home. 150-gallon tank,
Yeah.
salt water, nice fish in there. And then next thing I know, he's...
You want to look at his posters and lizard collection.
Okay.
I never met the guy, and when you guys walked away, I was like, we're never going to see Pat again. That's it. You're going to be on Dateline. That guy, what's the Keith Morrison? Isn't that his name? The one with the creepy voice, the skinny guy?
It is.
And then Patrick was never seen from again. And then I'm on there with just like a stupid look on my face, like, I don't know, man. He went to go look at posters and lizards. I don't know.
And the cop is like,
what could go wrong?
Posters.
The guy was actually a nice guy.
He was a nice guy.
It's impossible not to make fun of that situation, though.
Thanks.
Bro, dude, I'm gonna go look at this guy's posters and lizards.
Okay, fine. It's fine. We have another question. I can't look. Stop it. Can I just say that I was fully clothed when I came back? I had to quick put them on before that. Okay, sorry, whatever. $20 is $20. Okay. We're gonna have to edit that part out when we play this show back.
Yeah, sure.
We've got one more question from Kyle in
At
Springfield.
least Kim knows why you were late now.
Who's chosen the American Brain Tumor Association. Kyle drives a Hyundai. By the way, it's Hyundai. I hear people say Hyundai. That vehicle does not exist. It's like Sunday, but Hyundai. You're welcome. Kyle writes, I'm getting a little rattle. I mean, he seems like kind of an old guy for a rattle, but I'm getting a loud rattle, like a can filled with marbles when I start the car. Once it's running, I never hear it. I brought it to a mechanic. They say it's the timing belt is bad. I can't afford it. Is there something I can do on my own? Do I have any options? Does this guy want to go after putting a timing belt on a car if he doesn't know what he's doing?
All right, so what a timing belt does is it runs, basically the lower end of the engine. You have an upper end and a lower end of the engine. The lower end of the engine is really the only thing that's under power, so to speak. And the upper end of the engine has to turn in sequence with the lower end. So what they do is they attach a belt from the lower end to the upper end, so from the crank to the cams. And some vehicles use a chain. A lot of manufacturers switched over to chains now, which don't require service like the belts do, but belts are probably going to get done every I mean, depending on how much you drive, about 100,000 miles is a good rule of thumb, 90 to 100, somewhere in there you want to have it looked at or replaced. And same thing about maybe every 10 years, because the belts are rubber, so they begin to kind of expand and contract, and they get cracks in them, right? So what can happen is there's tensioners and pulleys and stuff in there. Those can go bad, and it can cause noises where the belt won't be tight like it's supposed to, and it'll kind of slap against the covers. It'll make some noises like that when you first start it up. You know, if you have mechanical experience, it's possible that you could do this on your own. I personally would recommend not doing it on your own, only because the risk for damage is so much greater than you know the reward. So you could find yourself with a you know $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 repair, having to replace your entire engine if you do this incorrectly, because the upper end of the engine will hit the lower end of the engine, where the job itself is probably under $1,000 even to do it properly.
So now it's not just a matter of slapping it on. Like, you've got to know what the tension is.
You've got
things you need to know.
Yeah, and a lot of vehicles, and I'm not sure if Hyundai has that, but a lot of vehicles you have to set something called a preload. You have to set a certain amount of tension on that belt. But on every one of them, it has to be set up just right. Like there's timing marks, and you have to, if it's not lined up just perfect, if you're off one tooth on one of those rib belts, you could find yourself in some very serious trouble. You know, if at the very best, if you screw up, just the check engine lights on. You know, at the very worst, you destroy the engine. So, you know, I've seen guys have to pull these things apart and put them back together multiple times, and you know, you could find yourself in a very, very bad situation, a much worse situation than you're in now. You know, again, like we mentioned earlier, we do have a 100-day payment option, same as cash. You know, 0% for 100 days. I don't know if that can help you out through the hump, but you know, it's a somewhat inexpensive repair to do if you do it now. Professionally versus doing it on your own and then needing a professional and, you know, having to replace the entire engine if you mess that up.
What happens if you're driving and that thing just flat out snaps?
You are in a very bad situation. Yeah, because that lower end of the engine will impact the upper end of the engine, and when that happens, you're due for an engine rebuild or replacement of the engine entirely, depending on how bad it hits.
Wow.
You know, so it you know, it can be really, really bad. You know, I personally, Kyle, if you know, if you're asking for my advice, I would say maybe don't do it unless you have, you know, experience doing that type of thing.
I have a pat question. How important is it? Greg, my stepson, has a car, and he has never changed the oil in it.
Did you call it a pat question?
Yeah, because that's right. Oh, I'm the guy across from you, James.
So is that so that's obviously a very intelligent, well thought out question.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shoot.
So, so he's had the car for, I guess, about a year now.
Yeah.
Has not changed the oil once. The oil level is fine.
Okay.
But he doesn't put a lot of mileage on it. How important is it to change the oil if it's just sitting around? Is it?
Oil breaks down over time and mileage. You know, so it's a good idea to change that. I mean, definitely at least once a year, even in a vehicle that just, you know, sits and you drive occasionally.
It looked clean. I mean, he drives it every day, but for short distances.
Yeah, it'll still look clean because you're not really using it. But you know, again, it breaks down over time and mileage. So I would personally just, you know, change it out. It's not very expensive to do a basic oil change. You know, so you know, you got to look at the you know, the cost benefit, like what are the potential issues that you can have later on, you know, internal seals going bad or, you know, whatever else could happen there. I personally would just change it.
Okay.
You know, all that other stuff that could go wrong is much more expensive than just changing the oil now.
What are you looking at?
For benefit of
$40.
Yeah,
It's worth
yeah.
it.
$40 and probably all of a half hour of his time to save himself a lot of headache later on.
You're listening to The Boys Under the Hood. James Stevenson from Precision Auto Repair joins us every Tuesday. It's one of my favorites, man. I really appreciate you coming by today, James. I appreciate all the snake talk, too. I was trying to forget that.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for disappearing at that random party with a guy to go look at his posters and lizards.
We need to cut a check to a charity, which is what we do every week after Boys Under the Hood, just to make a small difference anyway. So we've got a $25 check for the person with a question of the week. Who is it this week?
Let's pick Kyle with the loud rattle, and
Okay.
he needs a timing belt, and we're going to donate $25 in your name to the American Brain Tumor Association, which is one that we'll put pretty close to our heart.
Yes, you do. We do it again next Tuesday, beginning at 8. James, happy snaking, buddy.
All right, bud. Thank you. Have a good week.